This is PlayerProps.ai. This for winners research. We run it up with every betting tool you know in each perk. Trevor's tested waters help you swim even the feet first. Now strategies and all you need to help you PlayerProps.ai. This for winners research. We run it up with every betting tool you know in each perk. Trevor's tested waters help you swim even the feet first. Now strategies and all you need to help you eat.
Hey guys, it's me, Travis with PlayerProps.ai, and this is what we're doing today for the Tuesday games. So yesterday I did a pretty long video explaining a new strategy, a new/old strategy for MLB betting. This is something we did early in the season last year. We had a lot of success with it, but the risk tolerance required is very high. The detriment to the bankroll if it doesn't work is very high. And so I was like, I don't know if I want to bring it back this year because we're harping on so much of bankroll management and, just not making decisions that can crush our bankroll. And so I back tested it over May. I hit 97, 98% of the time. And so I introduced it to you guys yesterday. And then I showed you how to find, using the Total Predictor, part of the VIP premium upgrade package you should be looking at now that there are more tools printing money for you. But we looked at the Colorado-Miami game yesterday. That's what we locked in. And it was the quickest hit that we have had all season, all year for that matter. Since the beginning of 2025, we have not hit a bet quicker than last night. It was through this new strategy. The bet focus was to go, yes, that there would be at least one run in the first inning. And that one run scored within the first 5 minutes. That is not an exaggeration. The game started at 6:40. The first run scored by 6:45 p.m. Eastern Time. And that's the quickest hit we've had on the show this year. And we hope that that continues. There's actually a lot more runs than just one scored. But I did see a lot of questions in our Discord, which is what you should be using Discord for, asking questions and making sure you fully understand everything. But I did see a lot of questions in there, so I'm going to kind of go over it. I guess you can say again today, but in the sense of not going through the entire thing from beginning to end, but just doing it in a way that answers the questions that were asked, just the clarification stuff. And then, we're going to find something on the site again for today. This is not going to be something moving forward. We're just going to give you the best play of the day to lock in on this. This is something you are going to have to upgrade to get access to. These developers are not free. The site is not free to host. The site is not free to create. The marketing is not free to do. All that stuff costs money. So that is why we have premium to help things going. So if you want to win, along with everybody else that you see winning screenshots drop from, I'm going to need you to upgrade. Tonight is Trivia Tuesday, episode number 1. This is something new. If you've paid attention in our Discord, I have a channel that has show schedule, and I mentioned that in June we're going to have a new show schedule update. You saw the first new show we did on Sunday. We did Call of Ball. Me and a bunch of our premium members played Call of Duty while betting and tracking the MLB game, which was live on the game. MLB tracker game for Sunday Night Baseball was live on the screen on top of the Call of Duty play. And I seemed like it was a pretty fun thing. A lot of people enjoyed that, so we're going to be doing that moving forward. I won't be available this Sunday to do it because I'll be flying to Ohio for a wedding. But regardless, it's something we're doing moving forward. But tonight is Sports Trivia Tuesday at 8 p.m. It is on this YouTube channel, which is why I put the YouTube logo right here on the screen. How it works is you tune into YouTube. That's it. I ask questions, and then the first correct answer in the YouTube chat gets a point. And then when I'm done with the questions, this is only going to be maybe like a 30-minute show. I don't think it's going to go 60 minutes. We're saying like 30 minutes max. But I'm going to keep track of everybody who answers first gets points. And then whoever has the most points by the end of the show, if you are currently an active premium member, you're going to get a $100 gift card. If you're not a premium active member, you're going to get a free month and become a premium active member. So everybody gets prizes, or no matter if you are premium or not, you're going to get prizes. Not everybody, because you don't get a prize just for tuning in, but answering questions nonetheless. So I will first, what I want to do is I want to kind of go into details of this right here. This is something we talked about in the show yesterday. And if you haven't watched that show yet, stop this one right now, go back, watch that show, and then you'll get a better understanding what I mean here. But what I want to do here is I want to clarify some things and the questions that I saw in Discord following this video. Let's make this font a little bit smaller. So this is to recap as quickly as possible without spending 30 minutes going through this all over again, this is essentially the bet structure of how this particular MLB strategy is going to work. The first inning, once you find the game of the day, the first inning, and I say game of the day, I don't say games of the day. That's another answer to a question, or just somebody said something in Discord. I forgot which channel it was in who said it, but it's like, oh, I'm looking at this game and this game and this game or whatever, and I go, no. This works when you find the most optimal game. You don't want to find the second most optimal game, the third most optimal game. You want to find the most optimal game, and you want to focus on that game, and that is your focus for the day. And then if it hits, fantastic. If it doesn't hit, that's, of course, sucks. But regardless, you're not doing multiple games at one time, because this strategy requires your utmost 100% attention, not for you to jump back and forth between different games and everything. So that's the first thing I want to answer. One game per day. And you might be asking yourself, well, what if we do a 1 p.m. game, 1 p.m. Eastern time game, and it hits in the first inning and we have profit? Can we do another game? No. This is 1 game per day regardless of what happens. Another question that I want to answer is, what happens when it hits? Well, we all make money, just like yesterday. In the first 5 minutes, every single person on planet Earth that tuned into my YouTube channel, watched the video, and did exactly what I told you to do, you made profit. Every single person that tuned in, locked it in, did exactly what I said to do, made profit. And once that happens, strategy check mark for the day, strategy hit for today, move on to tomorrow. We do not continue betting once it hits. And then another question as well that I want to answer right now is, I think somebody asked, why stop at 6? So, in regards to 6 innings. So that's what I explained in yesterday's show. I said, you don't want to go after 6. And I actually am I'm going back and forth with AI. We're chatting. We're best friends, by the way. Going back and forth with AI and feeding it all this data and saying, okay, this is the current strategy. Do you have a strategy that is more optimal than this strategy? And so I'm going back and forth, and it believes that the 6th inning may be too much of a risk of bankroll. And I'll explain what I'll kind of add to this here on what's on the screen on the Word doc to explain kind of what we're referencing when we say too much bankroll risk. But they say it's too much risk, and even though it's hitting at a 97% rate with the 6th inning cap, it's still beneficial. It's what it's trying to say is it's still beneficial if you just focus on the first 3 innings, because you don't risk an insane amount of bankroll by pushing it to the 6th inning. But it's 80% hit rate. So there's a lot, not a lot greater chance, a 17% chance more of it not hitting, but less overall risk, potential risk of bankroll. If that doesn't mean anything to you, I'm going to put it on screen because I know a lot of people here are visual learners. So I'm going to explain it through text on screen, which is what we're doing right now. So I mentioned that the first bet, you do not want to have an insane amount of money, insane amount of percentage of your bankroll. I'm going to go through, if it goes to 6 innings, I'm going to go through how much, if it doesn't hit by the 6th inning, I'm going to go through how much money you've lost. So I'm kind of going backwards so you understand the full risk by not listening to what I'm saying and doing your own thing and putting your own amount of money on here. I don't want you to get caught in the trap of ignoring Travis, because Travis is trying to make you not lose an insane amount of money. So I'm going to go through 6 innings here real quick. And then for those people who didn't watch the show and ignored me earlier 2 seconds ago when I said stop watching this until you watch yesterday's show, you might be confused, so you might want to stop this now and go back and watch it. But for you guys that did listen and watch yesterday's show, remember, the 2nd inning bet is this is how much you want to bet to profit based on the odds. Based on the odds, which in this example, we're just using minus 110. A lot of people got lucky yesterday and got plus 100 or minus 105, so even better odds. But the number you bet for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th is you want to profit after tally all the money you've lost so far in this strategy in the previous innings. That money plus a profit of what your original bet is. So the reason this says 11 is because if you have minus 110 odds, you have to bet $11 to this essentially what the payout is for this, or the profit is for this by the individual bet is $10. So that takes care of the $5 we lost in the first inning bet from it not hitting, plus the amount of the bet of the first inning, which is $5. So we want to cover the $5 loss and we want to make $5. So that means we need to get paid out $10 in profit. So we get $11 on minus 110, we get $10 profit. That covers the $5 loss and our initial profit goal of $5. And then I mentioned on yesterday's show here where we typed out the third inning, it's essentially $23. This is essentially the thing you can use. I mentioned, I'll pull it up on the site here again. We built a tool for you guys where you don't have to do any math ever, period. It's just a calculator, and there's a lot of things the calculator can do. We have the only calculator on planet Earth that does all of the things that our calculator does. If there's something that it doesn't do, you just let me know and we'll make it do it. That's the best part. You guys provide feedback and suggestions and we consider it, and if it's something that makes sense, we'll build it in. But you don't have to do any math. So you can actually go to the tool and figure out how much I have to bet to profit a certain amount of money at a certain amount of odd. So in this example, for the third inning, let's say it's minus 110 again. How much money have we lost so far? Well, in the second inning, we bet 11. In the first inning, we bet 5. So that's minus 16. We also want to make sure, again, that you want to cover your losses, plus you want to cover the profit of your original bet. The original bet is $5. We've lost $16. We want to profit 5, which means we need to profit $21. That's the total loss plus the original bet. It's $21. So roughly $23 at a minus 110 odds, you profit $21, which means if this hits, you are out of everything that just happened, you are up $5 for the day. And then we just keep doing it over and over and over again. I'm going to just do like guesstimations essentially on how much the cost will be here, just so I don't spend trillions of minutes going through different tools and pulling up the math and stuff. But this is a generalization of what it could cost if you start at $5 and the game goes to 6 innings, which again we do not want to happen. We want this bet to hit in the first inning. That's the goal. 46, let's just do 92. So I'm just doubling up right now, but this is not too far off from the actual number. I'm just explaining how much this could cost if it plays out to the 6th. Is that 184? Okay. So. Oh, I just realized the font was not small enough. Give me a second, let me pull this up. There you go. Now you can see it. Okay, so if the strategy I taught you guys yesterday goes to the 6th inning, if it goes to the 6th inning and you start with $5, your 6th inning bet is $184. That's why I said everybody has to start with $1 until you understand the entire process of what it can potentially become if it doesn't hit in the first few innings. And then I was talking to my best friend AI yesterday. It's like, hey, I think even though your strategy makes sense and has a 97% hit rate, if you have a game that's part of the 3% that doesn't hit, if you don't have a bankroll to afford a $184 loss, you do not want to be betting $5. And I think somebody in our chat yesterday in our Discord, Joey, one of our VIP members, he did the math on like $1. He goes, even at $1, it's like an $80, roughly an $80 cost for the 6th inning bet. So you have to have the bankroll to be able to pull this off. If you don't have it, that's fine. Just focus on, just doing everything else we say with the 20-80-20 rule to build up the bankroll till where you can pallet this very risky, very bankroll, chaotic bankroll scenario. Again, the goal is for it to hit in the first inning. I mentioned on yesterday's show that if you can't track the entire game, do not bet this. If this didn't hit in the first inning, you have to essentially lock this in within 1 to 1.9 or roughly 2 seconds. If you're too slow, where it takes you more than 1.9 seconds to lock in the next bet, the sportsbooks close it, and you don't have the opportunity to bet on the second inning anymore or any other inning, and it messes up the whole flow. So if you're like busy working and you're doing like you have it on your screen or you have it on your phone, but you're taking calls, you're working on something else during the actual game, which yesterday's was 6:40 p.m. So if you weren't like tied to your phone, making sure that you're tracking everything. And the best part, as I mentioned yesterday, is a lot of the top sports books, they actually have the game tracker stuff built into the sports book. So you can have the bet loaded, which I mentioned in Discord yesterday. I don't know if I mentioned this on the show yesterday. As soon as the first inning started, I had the second inning bet over 0.5 runs already in my my bet slip. I knew the exact amount I needed for the odds that it was showing me, and I had it there. As soon as the first inning starts, the second inning unlocks. And then as soon as the second inning starts, which is that 1.9 second window, the third inning unlocks. And so that's kind of how it works. Everything's very, very fast, and the sportsbooks want to prevent you from doing something like this. That's why they do it so fast. They don't want you to do this because it has a 97% hit rate. That's why they lock the innings so quickly, and that's why you have to be faster than they are, which is not easy to do, which is why this isn't for everybody. But I had over 0.5 runs in my bet slip with the right amount, ready to go, and then I just pulled up the game tracker and I'm just watching it. But luckily, it only took 5 minutes for it to hit. But essentially, as I told you how to track it in the last show, if it's bottom of the ninth and there's 2 outs, and the guy essentially has like a 2-strike count, I'm probably going to lock that in just because I know the sports books are multi-billionaires and they have a lot of people on the team to lock this as soon as possible, because as soon as that strike hits in the real game, even if it hasn't updated on the game tracker, the inning's closed and you can't bet on the second inning anymore. So you have to you don't want to jump the gun too much, but you kind of have to pay attention to that point where you don't let the sports books out-click you, essentially. So again, if you start with $5 in your first bet and it goes to the 6th inning, it's $184. What AI is I'm going back and forth with AI to try to find the most optimal strategy that doesn't risk $184 for people that start with 5. And it's saying, hey, based on the data you gave us for May, the third, if the line is 9 or higher, so this is what AI said to do, which I haven't 100% adopted yet, but I'm just telling you for telling you's sake. If the line is at least 9, and the difference between the projection and the line, if the difference is at least 0.75 or higher, then you can go up to 3 innings. And then once you get to 3 innings, then boom, you stop. And if it goes into the 4th inning, then you've lost 23, 34, $39. In this scenario, this is not what you're betting. This is just a scenario. You lost $39. That is much more easier to palate than losing essentially like all of this money collectively. So you're not just losing $184 here. This is how much you're essentially betting to make back all of this money you lost. Hold on. All this money you lost plus to make a $5 profit. So you're essentially betting $184 to make a $5 profit. And it's like, hey, this doesn't make much sense. The AI says this is what you should focus on to make it where when you do lose, the amount you lose is not insane. And this is the reason why we stopped it last year, because we were going to the 6th inning. I mean, we hit freaking like 28, 30 days in a row. And then we had one loss. But that one loss of like this much amount of money just completely tanked the profit we made in the first 30 days. So I think for today, what we're going to do is we're going to go, let's try out what the AI is saying we should tweak. So we're going to try out what we should tweak. But I don't think there's anything. So there's not anything. I'm going back and forth with AI, and I'm trying to find the most optimal thing. And even though it says something, I'm going back and forth, giving it other data points. But I'm going to pull up the app right now, and we're going to see if we can find anything. This is on Monday still. All right, I'm just going to refresh the site to make sure that all the data is accounted for. So, technically speaking, no. So the reason the AI said a line of 9 or higher and a difference of 0.75 or higher is because the data that I fed it just for the month of May. So like, oh, these two things combined, this is a 80% hit streak. But that's only it was 80%, I think, out of like 9 games, because there's only 9 games that had both of those combos for the month of May. So it's still a limited amount of data. But that being said, I think, and I don't want to say like, let's do this until it misses, because when it misses, we're all going to lose a lot of money. But I think we can keep the minimum line to like 8. Keep the difference, but the AI is saying at 0.75, which is fine. But I think I want to shrink it to the 3 innings. Somebody asked as well, they said, this is another question I was asked this morning. They go, wait a second, why do we stop at the 6th inning? You're already risking hundreds of, even if you start with $1, if you go beyond the 6th inning, you're risking over $100 for the 7th. If it doesn't in the 7th, you're like, the difference, this is something I stress as well for everybody that hasn't watched a show, any of the shows of the last 14 months, is I am building a community of bettors. I understand that you may be a gambler, but if you come to my community and you download my app, the purpose of this existing is to turn you from a gambler to a bettor. A gambler is someone who doesn't bet with purpose, who makes decisions without backed data or backed AI projections, and someone who just wants to put money on the game just to enjoy the game, and losing doesn't really matter because you had to bet on the game and it made the game more fun. It's a gambler. We are people who bet with purpose, who bet with data and analytics, and who bet with AI projections, who bet with strategy, not just betting strategy, but bankroll management strategy and a bunch of other things. So in the theory of the question that was asked, which I'm not saying this person asked a bad question. All questions are good questions. There's no such thing as a dumb question or a bad question. But if the strategy is given to you and it's like, this is a 6-inning strategy, and you're like, yeah, but why do I want to go to the 7th? Because you're essentially chasing your losses. This strategy is it's not chasing our losses, because the strategy is the data says 6 innings. So we're not chasing our losses in the second. We're covering our losses with how this bet is structured. But once the model, which says 6 innings, is no longer 6 innings, then it's just a lost bet. Because if you keep betting 7th and 8th and 9th, and let's say it's 0-0 into the 13th, you don't have any more money left. You lost not only all your money, but you probably lost all the money you redeposited to make up for the money you already lost. That is why the AI is saying we stop at 3. Now, there's another thing the AI said. It said if the line was like 10 or higher, there's like some other things. So, long story short, we used the total predictor yesterday. Now we have something on the site that we built for no runs in the first inning, the NRFI predictor. If you didn't know this existed, it exists, and this is crushing it as long as you're using it as directed. There is a trifecta for this in the trifectas channel I added, and it is hitting at a very, very high rate. This is a single bet for the first inning only. Whether it hits or misses, doesn't matter. This is a single bet for the first inning only. You're using this tool to figure out, okay, which game am I going to bet that there will not be a single run scored by either team in the first inning? That's what a no-run first inning bet is. 0 runs, first inning. No run, first inning. We don't have a yes run first inning, which is what the bet is called when you're saying there will be at least 1 run. But guess what? Because I like building new tools that doesn't really exist in the space, I'm going to be building a yes run first inning predictor. Now, there are probably tools out there that exist that give you data on which teams have allowed the most runs in the first inning. That's just historical data. We have access to that too. But we're actually going to be building a prediction system that will highlight this is the game to target. And that's, again, part of the premium subscription. But because we haven't built that yet, we're working on it. Not sure how long it's going to take. We can still use the total because it still has a lot of the information we look for. If you remember what I told you, this game was technically 7.5 earlier today. It's now at 7. You don't have to lock this. These are bets you don't have to lock in. like as soon as possible, because the game starts at 6:40. As long as you get the bet in at 6:39 before the game starts, then you have your over first run inning. So this is not something you need to lock in necessarily, unless you think the odds are going to shift so dramatically against your favor. But the rule is, so I was actually looking at this game at 7.5. This matchup has got like 2 studs in Lance McCullers and Paul Skeens, and I was like, why is this projected to be 9 total runs? It's got 2 really good people. So I was kind of nervous about this one. But the fact that it's got a line of 7 makes me be like, yes, I love that the line dropped, because now we don't have to worry about it. We do not bet anything less than 7.5. I think I want to move the minimum line up to 8 from 7.5. I think that's a safer base. So 8 and then 0.75 is the new base. Line has to be at least 8. The difference here, which is this difference, if you're not sure what difference means, it's just taking the projected total and subtracting the line. The difference is it's 0.8. It's probably like 0.849. So that's why it's rounding up here to 8.5. But the difference is at least 0.75. And the line is at least 8. And this is the same game we did yesterday as well. Same time as well, 6:40. Now, if we go down one more, this line is also 8, and this difference is also 0.75. So there are technically 2 games that hit that mark. But we don't want to cherry pick. We want to focus on one game. If you start, not cherry pick, you don't want to overexpose yourself. The people that are just going and like, I'm just going to do this for all the games that have a 0.75 or this and this, you're going to be like, why do I have no bankroll left? And why are the people that listen to Travis making more money than God? Because there's a method to the madness. So even though this has a very sexy projection, which is a massive 2.28 difference, I mean, if you want to bet over on this, you can. You can bet over on the entire game, but this is not part of the strategy. So what we're going to do is we're going to go again with Colorado and Miami in the first inning over 0.5 runs. Sandy's not a horrible pitcher, but he also isn't as great as he should be. And then Chase Dollander, pretty much any pitcher for the Rockies is this is in a dome stadium. We don't have to worry about rain or weather. The problem as well, hold on. So I think the Marlins have the option of doing, I think they have like the retractable roof. Yeah, I was like, wait a second, is this in Colorado? But I was like, no, I forgot that the Lone Depot Park has a retractable roof. So I guess because, I mean, I'm in Orlando, Florida, and it's been raining every day for the past 17 years. So I'm guessing that's what it is. So yeah, it's in Miami, but it's going to be a dome, so we don't have to worry about rain. We don't have to worry about wind blowing in and cutting the ball short of a distance of where it can travel. I hope that answered all the questions. So to recap the questions that were asked of me, if I can remember all of them right now to recap at the end. Question number 1, what happens when you hit? You hit. That's it. You don't do anything else for the game. You don't do anything else for any game for this type of bet. You hit, boom, the end. Another question, why do we stop at 6? So we're actually stopping at, the goal here, because I don't want you risking too much of your bankroll, is we're going to stop at 3. If it hits in the 4th, 5th, or 6th, which we would normally have done, punch me in the face. But I do not want someone losing. The entire purpose of like the community is teaching you how to manage your bankroll intelligently and in a manner where you don't risk more than you should. And that's why we stopped doing it last year. This was hitting, it only missed, it went like 40-3 or something crazy record where if you hear 40-3, you're like, oh, you must have made a ton of money. But we broke even because the losses were so bad. And that's why I was afraid or tentative on bringing it back this season. But I think AI's onto something. Even though the win rate isn't nearly as high, 80% to 97%, I still think that if we reduce it from 6 to 3, and this is something that's not set in stone, this is what we're doing today. As we get more data, the same thing as all of our other tools, we tweak things here and there. Like, okay, so this works, this doesn't work, this works, this doesn't work. Nothing is set in stone. So today, we're doing Colorado, Miami, and I believe we're going to cap it at 3. Depending on the scenario of the game, we'll be live chatting about this in the MLB VIP channel on our Discord. So if there is a scenario where you potentially reach for 4, that might be in play based on like what we've seen in the game already. Like let's say the 4th inning, both teams have their top 3 batters up, then that's something we may consider. So there's things like that we can play it by ear. But I think we're going to say 3 for now because I can't have you guys risking hundreds of dollars of bankroll. Because I know you guys, there's some people, I mean, we have a lot of people that have tens of thousands of dollars in their bankroll. We have people that have $100 in their bankroll. And even with a dollar bet, past 3 innings or past 6 innings, you're going to lose like 80% of your bankroll, which is not part of the game. So reducing it to 3 innings, reducing the minimum line from 7.5, what we said yesterday, to 8. 8 is now the minimum. And this is still going to be 0.75 here. But we are building a yes run first inning tool, so you don't have to like remember all of these things. For now, you do, or just ask me in Discord and the VIP channels, because you guys have full access to this. But yeah, that's what we're rocking with here, ladies and gents. I didn't think this show was going to be as long as the last one, but it looks like it was. Now that I look at the timer, it looks like it was exactly as long as the last one. But I hope that clears things up. Capping at 3, playing it by ear for 4. I do not want you guys risking a crazy ton of bankroll. I just painted a picture for you here on how expensive this could be. So if you're looking at this, and I mean, math isn't for everybody, and I understand that, right? So if you are looking at these numbers on screen, and you're thinking to yourself, that doesn't seem like it's that much money, like to lose essentially. Let me do the math for you. So you lose $5 in the first inning. You lose $11 in the second inning. You lose $23 in the third inning, 0-0. You lose another $46 in the fourth inning, 0-0. You lose another $92 in the fifth inning, 0-0. And if the sixth inning concludes without a single run being scored, that is $361 you have lost when you started with 5. That is why I'm explaining this is incredibly risky, and that is why we are going to a 3-inning cap moving forward. Any questions, let me know in Discord, and I'll see you guys on this channel tonight in 7 hours from, I'm recording this at 1 p.m. at 7 hours from now at 8 p.m. Eastern time on this channel. We're doing Sports Trivia Tuesday. So if you like free money or you want a free subscription to have full access to the tool I just showed you and all the other tools and all the other premium channels in Discord, it's in your best interest to tune in, answer some questions, get some free crap. Good luck, guys. We'll see you in the Discord.